Okay, so we are back and we are alive for this week's transformation talks. If you follow me on social and you have been following my invitations and you know that I'm always live on Thursdays at 10:30 in the morning, I apologize. As you can see, your girl is tired. I've been moving all week, moving all week, moving all week. And so I'm just getting caught up on a few things. So, hey, it's your favorite internet transformation mentor, your quantum transformation mentor, Tanisha Asha York Allen. And I'm here with this week's transformation talk. And the things that I talk about on here are really motivated by like a lot of things that I experience, and in addition to my expertise. I'm usually bringing two things together at once, in an attempt to make things as worldwide and like easily understood as possible, right? And so I want to talk about a few things today. The main thing is the theme, the topic, right? How to be strategic about your energy as a leader and like what that means. So what I do with people is I help them transform their fears into action, right? Which is like the catchphrase. But what I also do with people is I help them get to their next level of success through spiritual and strategic alignment. And what that means is I help them get to a place where they are so in sync, much like I used to do when I was operations, and like an operations excellence manager, designing efficient processes and designing efficiencies within process. It's much the same thing. It's about being in line, right? It's about reducing the amount of touches or the amount of points or the amount of interruptions that allow you to be you in the biggest and most like expansive way. And so that looks like going for bigger and bigger levels of success. But one of the things that comes up in this conversation is strategy. Like people don't recognize the value that it takes to be strategic about your energy, about who you are and how you show up and everything that's related to that. And so that's what I want to talk about today. So, the question that I have, the same question that I asked my membership, Joyful Elevation, the Spotlight, shout out to each of you, um, is the question of the week. What interrupts joy for you? When you think about your energy, when you think about you showing up as your most authentic, most aligned self, right? Where you are being everything that you want it to be, you are standing in everything that you are. When you think about that, what stops you from being yourself? What stops you from being who you are and being in your authentic energetic signature? So let's say you're like a really creative person and all you want to do is create, right? How often do you stand in the energy of I'm going to create? Or how often do you allow other people and things to knock you off your scales so that you can't be the creative leader that you're designed to be? And so, one way in which you can be more strategic about your energy is simply by getting to know your energy, right? And this is something that is foundational for anyone that comes into my atmosphere. If we're going to work together, if we're going to talk, if you're going to ask me questions, we're going to get to know your energy. We're going to spend time understanding the components that uniquely make you you. And so this methodology that is what I call it is called the soul energetics method. And it's really uncovering the layers of the soul or the being that you are, and allowing it room to be understood. So the tools that I use to do this are like human design, gene keys, numerology. I even do readings and things, and I really go into, okay, the makeup of you, right? What are the biggest things that are components of who you are? And do you understand who you are and the desires that you have and how they're all related, right? And so the first step to to being strategic about yourself as a leader is to understand the components of you, knowing that like your thoughts and your ideas are not random concoctions, but they're probably the perfect DNA mixture and combination of who you are and the vision that you're supposed to bring forward, excuse me, in this life and in this time now. And so if you want to learn how to be strategic about your energy, right, where nothing interrupts you, nothing delays you, or if they come up, they don't like throw you off your game completely, you're gonna have to want to get to know what you're made of. Like if you have other tools, like people use like the Enneagram, or you can use like astrology, these are all tools to understanding and accepting who you are. Okay. So the first part is to get to know yourself. Get to know yourself deeply. Who are you? What do you desire? What pieces of you feel most authentic? And like really, once you're able to see all these things of you, you're able to move into a place of acceptance of this energy that you carry, that you can show up in, right? And so when you get to the level of acceptance, you're saying, okay, I see all of me splattered across the wall here. I get that I have this vision. I get that I have this mission. I have these desires. How does this make up a thing? How do I like manage, love, nurture all of this? You accept it, right? If so, like part of my soul energetics is one of my things is human design, and my human design is I'm not supposed to work 8-hour days, right? Like I'm not built to do that. I don't have the energy to sustain that. So that was really hard for me to accept as a leader because I'm like, well, wait a minute. Like I've always had the desire to only go to work maybe 3 or 4 hours a day, but it was really hard for me to accept that part of myself because everyone else in the world of work showed up in 8 hour, 10 hour, 12 hours. I was like, oh my God, I don't want any of it. Right. But I had to accept what made me uniquely me. I had to, after understanding that this is my makeup, that these things that I think were, or I have always thought that were random are not random. This is my makeup. This is the energy that if I showed up in this energy all the time, if I showed up in this way all the time, I would be so energetically aligned that it would be damn near impossible to not be myself, right? That I would most easily get and receive everything I want in life and in business because my energy is vibrating. So everything around me is picking up on the frequency of she's in alignment, she's in alignment, she's in alignment. So there's that. But after seeing that and noticing that there are differences between who I am and who everyone else is, you have to be willing to accept it. Because when you're a leader, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a change maker, right? When you are a visionary, it is very different from the lifestyle of those who go to work. And it's not to say that one is better than the other. I'm saying that the culture and the energy in which you spend most of your time is trailblazing. And when you think about trailblazers, they usually go it alone. And everything about corporate culture has, corporate capital, typical capitalistic structures have told you that in order to do something, you have to be able to fit in. You have to be a part of the collective consciousness. You have to be a part of the culture. You have to be a part of the corporate environment. You have to navigate politics. And so, what that does is it often makes you want to compare yourself to the next individual. There's a lot of that. It's ingrained in us from school to jobs and so on and so forth, right? That's what we learn. And the thing about the acceptance piece of accepting who you are as a leader, right? This path that you're going down where no one else is going, is that you have to break up with those ideas. You have to be willing to say, okay, cool. So this was the path that I was on. Everyone's the same. I'm looking at myself and everyone's trying to do the same thing. Oh, but they're doing something different. Okay, but we're corporate culture. We're in the culture. So they got to change. And they do change. And then you look at yourself, it's like, oh, wait, I'm doing something out of the ordinary. Everyone's looking at me now. I have to change. But when you're a visionary and a thought leader, being willing to accept that you don't show up the same way as everyone else and you have a very unique contribution to society and then to the collective is it can be a very challenging place to be. And that is where your gold is. That is where your gold is. That is where the prize is. Because once you understand your energy, and you understand who you are, and you understand how you show up, then you can go into accepting your energy. And when you accept your energy, when you accept that you do things a little different, that you're a little more quirky, a little more creative, a little more unique, then you start to bring in and allow all the pieces of yourself. So there'll be like a corporate version of you. There'll be the trailblazer version of you. There'll be the risk taker version of you. There'll be the fearful version of you, even because all pieces of us are relevant. But it's the acceptance of where we are and how we are that helps us to transcend normal levels of growth. They say that like most people never leave like their 6 block, 8 block radius, something like that. There's also a statistic out there, don't quote me on it, but there's a statistic out there that talks about how people never have like more than like 10% more success or growth than their parents. So meaning like if your parents got an associate's degree, you'll probably get a bachelor's. Like they don't really usually go too much further than that. And so when you think about all these statistics that put people, even in businesses, right? Businesses only project to scale about 5 to 10% once they get to a certain level of growth. Um, when you think about all these statistics, you think about the ways in which we are constantly limiting our ability to expand. And we learn that. That is a learned experience that we learn how to limit our abilities. And it's through the non-acceptance and the denial of who we are and what we have to offer. But if you can accept yourself totally, fully, without judgment, without labels, without decisions and stories behind it, you will see that you'll move into a space, right, of transcendence and success that is 10 times what you can imagine, right? Instead of going up like 2 notches more than your parents, you'll go up 10 times more than your parents. And you'll really create a life and a lifestyle and a business if you have one, or a career if you're navigating one of those, that is very unique and specific to you. So, you have the getting to know, then you have the strategy, like not strategy, the acceptance, right? And after you accept, you have to expand. So you have to be willing to do things that will maximize your energy, that will keep you so activated, so sure of yourself, so elevated that you are unafraid and unwilling to compromise that growth, right? Because the thing that we're talking about here is your energy. This is the frequency in which you show up, what you are putting out, which therefore means what you are receiving. And so it's important to be willing to expand that energy signature. Something I tell my clients all the time is like, hey, you have to be willing to be more and more you everywhere you go. That is how you transform. That is how you transcend, and that is how you grow to levels of success that you're not familiar with. Being willing to be so much more you, right, than you've ever been before is a piece of work. It is an art form. It is a practice. It is a muscle that you get to flex, like just like lifting weights. It's something you get to experience and flex those muscles and really strive and try to show up in. It's practice. And the more you can be more and more you, meaning like the calm responses, the thoughtful quotes, the whatever the makeup of you is, the more you can maximize that, the easier time you will have being easily successful and easily impactful and easily a visionary. You don't get there from grind, grind, grind. You get there in a lot more of a fun way if you can just recognize what it takes to be you, accept all that you are, and then say, yes, I'm willing to take this same container and expand it. I think I've talked about on here before that, like, the way my energy is built, I'm designed to, like, last of a long time. And what that gets to look like for me is expansive alone time. So I used to meditate. I think I started out when I first started my meditation journey. I was like, I'm gonna do 5 minutes. And I realized that that's part of my recipe, that's part of my strategy, it's part of like what keeps me going. I accepted that. I was like, yes, okay, I can do this. People aren't meditating, but I'll meditate. And then had to be willing to expand that. So I expanded to 15 minutes, right? Just 15 minutes in the morning, get it out the way, knock it out, girl, you got it. My current expansion of this looks like 30 minutes in the morning, once in the afternoon, 30 minutes at night, right? Because that is what makes me uniquely me. My ability to sit still, sit with spirit, and like really get myself together by giving myself an isolated space of time to be so into me is what gets me there. And so for my next level of success, for my upper 6 figures transition, it's going to look like more and more time. So yes, Tanisha, you are good at being yourself. Yes, Asha, you are good at meditating. Now get better and get better and get better. Or another language. Now expand and expand some more and keep expanding. And you allow yourself to have and be as much more you everywhere that is physically and emotionally and spiritually and mentally possible. So you can show up from a place where you react to a bunch of things, or you can show up to a place where you are in charge of how you feel, how you the context in which you show up, and the strength in which you align. So that is how to be strategic about your energy as a leader. When you are navigating the world with people and you are like, hey, we're gonna shake things up, we're gonna change the world that we live in, we are going to, capitalize and maximize and whatever your change is in the world, whatever you're here to, whatever the vision is for you. Mine is helping as many people as possible transcend fear and limitations so they can know that joy is the strategy for everything, right? That ease is everything. That's my mission. As many people as I can help, like move through fear to get to joy, period. So, whatever your vision is for the world, for society, for the communities that you serve, it's important to understand you will be able to make a better impact if you know who you are, the energy in which you show up, and you accept everything that you are, and you decide to capitalize on that thing, expand on that thing, make that thing better than you ever hoped it could be. And that is how leaders are born. They practice being themselves at greater and greater intervals, right? Until there's like it only instead of it taking like 3 points for them to be themselves, it only takes two. Hope that makes sense. So this was more of an inspirational talk than like a strategy heavy. But I really want you guys to think about what I'm saying here, and I want you to take some time. If you're watching the replay, hashtag replay in the comments so I know that you're watching. And if you have any questions, comment them or send me a DM. And if you really, 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 really want to go big, book a VIP day, meet me in person. Let's go and let's plan out your vision. Let's talk about what's next for you. Let's talk about how you're going to get there and what's going to make it the easiest, biggest, bestest, most fun, most expensive version of you. Let's not go 2x. Let's go 3x. Let's go 10. Right? Let's go to the next level. Collapse some timelines and get things done. So like I said, I'll be back next week with Transformation Talks at 10:30 a.m. This week I was really tired, and so I needed some more rest. I'm gonna get some more after this. Be well, and I'll see you on the internet streets. Book a VIP day. See you guys soon. Be well. Peace.